Mental health is an issue that we don't talk about enough. I would say I am not a perfect parent. I certainly have moments where there's probably people that could do a better job than me. However, I would say something that most people with children with autism would say is the lack of resources, the lack of understanding, the amount of people that tell you how, when, and why to do things would make someone's mental health worse. There are a few support groups and programs out there that are run by parents or organizations that know more about autism that are better. They've been a lifeline for me. I'm a part of at least two, and if they need help, I help co-host or parent host on some of these. And I just am religious with it because I'm a single parent. I don't have anybody to tap out with. Luckily for me, my parents do take my children to school and pick them up from school. I would say I'm fairly lucky. My children don't have a lot of medical issues, but some do. Some have serious medical issues where their parents are having to drive them to another state multiple times a month. Indiana's not the biggest state, but big enough. My children go to Indianapolis to go to the doctor. That's about an hour and 20 minutes away from me. That's a 3-hour trip. So anytime that I have to call off work to take them to the doctor, it's all day. I'm off work all day. So I would say that is a regular type of thing. I think we're terrified. Like there's this whole subset of emotions that just pump through you on a daily basis. And not that someone wants to be pessimistic, but just being realist, you have to have some sort of plan in place, especially if you're a single parent, or maybe you have a spouse that has a medical complexity. Maybe your spouse isn't doing well and you're used to it, it being the two of you, and you're not quite sure what life will look like when there's just one. Okay, so we had a really great moment today. This is the first time that all three kids have been able to get out, go into a gas station, get on the potty, change. I think I'm kind of a particular character. I just don't give up easy. And I think I'm raising children like that. They're very stubborn. And that's a good thing, actually, because they need to be stubborn to survive. My older son the other day, I think he also heard it from a show, but I often say it. I'll tell him, do it yourself, figure it out. Because I can't baby them. I'm not doing them any favors if I baby them. They have to learn. And I have to say, they surprise me on the daily. They really do. Because even with limited language, they're masters at other things. And my older son, I think he could probably be an engineer one day. He's always trying to figure things out. Like, he would strap all his passy straps together and thread them through the house so it looks like big streamers. And he's just connected them all. He doesn't want anybody to touch them. That's his experiment. Has to say the exact way that it is. There's a lot of promise that I see in these kids. And for me personally, I need to tap out every once in a while. And so I have to get inventive with it. Noise canceling headphones has been a lifesaver. Sometimes if there's a little bit too much screaming going on, I'll be walking around with those noise canceling headphones. And in fact, that's how I got the idea for the festival. I was taking a break. I call it a mommy break. And I was just listening to some music on my noise canceling headphones. And my daughter came and took them off my head and put them on her own head. And she was just jamming out. And I was like, seems like music is an element that is really appreciated in these children, which they get it natural because I was really big into music myself. So it's interesting how I think that I'm raising really resilient children as well, because I'm also stubborn. And by me being stubborn and resilient and just refusing to give up, or more so refusing to give up on them, and I suppose refusing to give up on myself, has sort of created a segue for me to help other people. Because, like I said, I remember what it was like, and nobody should have to go through that. Reaching down so deep every day just to get through, just to try and figure out what's out there, who's out there. I know I'm not the only one, but I had to work so hard just to find people like me that I think there have to be platforms out there. We have to create a broader network of parents that just have access to one another so we can share ideas, because I think we're better off together. Yes, I am very bounce backable. That is true. Man, I'm resilient. I just don't care. I often say, tell me no. I want you to tell me no, because I'm just going to find a way around it. I'm just going to be more inventive, and I think I learned that from my children. I've watched them overcome obstacles. I've watched them be inventive. And nobody plans for this. You don't have a plan. There's no manual that comes with parenting, but there's especially no manual that comes with raising children with autism, because each child is different. All three of my kids are different. Like my older son and my daughter, they're a little bit more alike, but her twin, he's totally different. Each one of them has different likes different foods, has a different reaction to different stimuli. They all look different. So, yeah, bounce backable, that is one thing that I think, man, being a parent with a child with autism, you have to be bounce backable, because nobody's going to help you and nobody cares. You got to care about yourself. And then once you get to a point where you have figured some things out, then you got to reach back and help other people. I grew up in an area that is very rural, pretty typical, like nuclear family. Most people go to church 2-3 times a week. Very Midwestern, middle class, lower to middle class, pretty scrappy. You really have to work for what you want. Nothing's going to be given to you. And you are very much expected to comply. Don't think outside the box too much. Like, you start thinking outside the box a little too much, you're just being difficult. Well, I sort of got ostracized in high school for being gay before I knew I was gay. And that was interesting and painful. But then it turns out they were right. I was gay. And I then became a flight attendant and traveled around the world for about 20 years. Came back here and found myself in a similar situation. And I thought, wow, I wasn't aware that this was still a problem, but apparently it is. And by that point, had 3 little kids with autism. And I have to say, I didn't handle it the way that I expected. I thought it wouldn't bother me. And turns out that it did. And it was like taking a backhoe and digging up all those old bones. And I had to deal with that. And I had to sit with it. And it was extremely uncomfortable, pretty painful, to be honest, and hurtful. It was hurtful. And I made a commitment to myself and to my children that I deserved a better life. And I was going to surround myself with people that cared about me and believed in what I was doing. And that I'm not going to put my kids in a box. I just want everything for them. The world is their oyster. I've been all over the world, speak different languages, had different experiences. And I think that the humanistic portions of society, any society, are the ones that are most important. So I don't care if my older son is the next RuPaul. It doesn't matter to me. I'm like, dude, you just be you, whatever that looks like, and I'll support you. And I think all of us should be doing that. But it's very important to me that people know that these activities that I'm running, that they're for everyone. Because I remember what it was like to be different and to not have anyone. And so now that I have an opportunity to dig in and really decide, like, who am I? What am I about? What are my organizations about? They're inclusive for a reason. I want everybody to feel comfortable. It's not important that I'm running around waving my rainbow flag, but I'll tell you what, if there's some kid that wants to come to one of my events draped in a rainbow flag, this is a place for you. You're safe here. You can do your thing. It's supposed to be fun, because life's supposed to be fun. There are plenty of things in life that are hard. And like I said, parents of autism, we do hard every day. Why shouldn't we and our children have an opportunity to just be ourselves and enjoy? There are not a lot of spaces where we can do that. So it's really important to me that I become a protector, if you will, for these kids and for their parents and their families, because it's important. It's important to me to be my authentic self so these kids can be.